2 to 3 times more likely to be victims of violent crime than the general population. And so I wanted to know what you did about that in Arkansas and what you would do about that as president.
All right. Excellent question. The point is that people with disabilities, you say, are 2 to 3 times more likely to be victims of a violent crime?
Yes.
Honestly, that's a figure I was not aware of, but I'm not surprised. I would think that's probably an accurate reflection of the fact that people think they can take advantage of a person with disabilities, more likely to be mugged or robbed or something like that because they doubt that you're going to chase them down the street. When I was governor, one of the things that my wife and I want to include her because we were both very committed to the notion that facilities that the taxpayers owned should be totally accessible to every person regardless. When we came to the governor's mansion, it was not accessible to people with disabilities. There were many places of the governor's mansion that were simply not accessible, including the restroom. And we had not been there but about a month, and we had a good friend of ours who was in a wheelchair. And for him to be able to go to the restroom, we had to get 2 people to physically carry him and his wheelchair down steps in order for him to get to a restroom. And I thought then, this is so wrong. This is so unacceptable. This is a public building. He helps pay for it, and it should be accessible. We, as a part of many renovations that we made the entire facility, even the living quarters, so should there be a future governor that was disabled, that he and his family would have access, so that every single square foot of that facility was accessible. That was one of the first things that we were committed to doing, and my wife was a major part of helping lead that. She was the one who really championed the renovations, which, by the way, we financed with private money. Rather than ask the taxpayers to pay for it, she went out and raised the money, and that's why I want to give her credit for that. But I do believe that one of the things I did, I hired a number of people in my own office who were disabled. One of my key people that worked with constituent services, the chief of that, was a person who had been blind since birth. Phenomenal worker. And when she was dealing with constituents, her empathy was so extraordinary, but nobody knew that she was blind unless they were at her desk and watched her. My director of legal, the assistant director of legal services was deaf, and he could speak, but had a speech impediment from the fact that he couldn't hear, but he had learned to lip read and then speak. He was a phenomenal attorney. I later sent him to head the Department of Disability Services, and later he was hired by the state of Nebraska to head their disability services. He's had a great record in that, and he's still in Lincoln, Nebraska, by the way. Great young man. We hired a number of other people in our office, and one of the people who directed our Department of Human Services was paraplegic. My experience was this: a person who had a physical disability did not have a disability to work, did not have a disability to serve. And so in cabinet level agencies, we had a strong record, I think better than any predecessor I ever had as governor, of never making that a point of impediment for someone to be able to lead an agency, to serve in my office or in a key executive role in our state government. And quite frankly, I think the best way that we can help overcome prejudices and attitudes toward people with disabilities is to give them the visibility and to show that their disability is not a disability of function in terms of their career and their abilities. And that's one of the things that we did. And I'd love to see that done at the federal level as well.